Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another advanced tutorial episode of War in the East 2. This tutorial marks the end of the, let's say, short sub-chapter of logistics in terms of advanced tutorials. And yeah, as you can see from the title, in this tutorial I want to give you some tips and tricks and unveil some secrets of how to use depots to maximize their functionality. This, let's say, general section is true for both the Axis and the Soviet players. Whenever you're planning your, I would say, the depot map, the depot network. Oh, sorry, no, that's as I mentioned in the basic tutorials, the first location in which you want to build your depots are the hexes with at least a level 2 or higher rail yard, and you can easily identify these by going into rail mode, and you'll see here these numbers. Just divide these numbers by 10 and you'll see the level of the rail yard in these hexes. Of course, for instance, when you're playing as the Axis and you want to advance into the Soviet Union, relying exclusively on these hexes such as Vitebsk, Smolensk, Minsk, Gomel, it's just pointless, because you will never, I think you will never reach, maybe, yeah, Bryansk, Vyazma, Bryansk, Kaluga, but you'll never make it maybe until Leningrad or even Moscow. So the second golden rule for depots is to build them in hexes having even the level 1 rail yards. And I know they don't have an increased capacity, but you can increase the depot capacity by parking here for the Soviets the Army and Front HQs, for the Axis the Army and Army Group HQs. But then there is a third golden rule, that this has to be, I think, the most golden rule of all the golden rules, which is to spam depots. Like literally almost everywhere you have to abuse of the button create a depot here. You really want, I wouldn't say to fill up the map with depots, but you want to have depots ideally 1 every 5 hexes, of course along a section of railway line that has been already repaired, which means that can transport freight. Now, why you want to have multiple depots along one single railway line? Well, because of the concept of pulsing freight, which I also like to call pumping freight. Now, imagine that you have the section between Vilnius and Daugavpils repaired, and you have a depot here and a depot here. Now, what can happen is that the freight from Vilnius to Daugavpils, yeah, sure, can be transported, but you may lose some due to partisans, due to air interdiction, air superiority, and yeah. While vice versa, when you have multiple depots, let's say a depot here and a depot here, you can fill up these depots, and then this means that in the next logistics phase, your units can take freight from Daugavpils, from this depot here, and even from this depot here. Now, having 2 additional intermediate depots here reduces the chance of your units sending their vehicles down to Vilnius or even down to Suwalki, which in turn reduces the chance of your vehicles being lost due to attrition and or partisan activity, and in turn increases the chance of your units getting more movement points at the end of the next logistics phase. This is one, let's say, big trick. The other trick is that you can, as I said, pulse the freight from depots to depots. If you have, let's say, a depot here and a depot here and a third one here in Daugavpils, what you can do is to progressively lower the depot priority if to just send more freight towards, for instance, towards Daugavpils. Let's assume that you have a depot here that is level 4, and level 4. Now, if these two are already filled up with freight and you switch them from priority level 4 to level 3, in the logistics phase, the freight will transfer from these two depots to the one in Daugavpils. And because they are so close, you reduce the chance of losing some freight between Vilnius and Daugavpils. I know maybe this was not the best way to explain this, but really try to maximize the amount of depots on the double tracked railway lines here, and really manually adjust the depot priority before going in the let's say next player, opposing player turn, because this is how you really make sure that your assault armies always have the freight needed to regenerate their let's say their ammunition, fuel and supply stocks, and to receive the replacements that they need to be again combat effective. And this combined with the fact that when you stack army and army group HQs can and will make the difference for your advance, for instance, against Stalingrad and in the Caucasus in the 1942 summer offensive. Because if you look, for instance, at Stalingrad, you have just two single track railway lines going towards Stalingrad. So if you want to supply your armies, you have to put depots here and you have to increase their capacity with your army and army group HQs. And the same is true for the Caucasus. If you want to go into the Caucasus, you're kind of, let's say, channeled along this double track railway line here, and you have to park your HQs. You have to build depots progressively, and you have to park your HQs here to increase their capacity and to make sure that your maybe Panzer or Mountaineers or whatever you're using are well supplied and well fed and can fight the Red Army to reach Baku. And yeah, this is the part that is valid for both the Axis as well as for the Soviet player. Now, coming from the Axis perspective, I still wanted to say a few things about the depots in Central and Western Germany, because there are two schools of thought about these depots. One school says to convert all these depots here to priority 0, which means that they will kick out all the freight that they have and they won't receive anything. The advantage of this approach is that you will get more freight on the Eastern Front. The disadvantage of this approach is that because you have flak regiments in these cities, they need freight, and they will use their vehicles to get freight, maybe from Rathenov or directly from Berlin. Now, because Germany has a pretty developed road network, the chance of losing vehicles between, I don't know, Hamburg and Berlin is pretty low. But you can still lose them. And if you are in a dire vehicle, let's say, situation on the Eastern Front, you may not want to let those flak units use their vehicles to get freight. Which then comes to the other approach, which is my approach, which is just to don't touch these depots and let them fill up to the maximum volume and just convert all these ports to export ports, because in this way the freight will migrate from these ports to these ports, these import ports here. And yes, you will lose some freight, but honestly, I don't think this freight that gets piled up here makes all the difference. And I just realized, and this is, let's say, a very big difference from the Italian tutorial, I also wanted to mention a few things about the Baltic ports. You need to adjust the priority and the import-export settings progressively with your advance. Like, as soon as you take Riga, you want to make Riga a level 4 import port, and you want to prioritize the repair. You can do it by clicking here and then selecting yeah, here there should be the priority repair, and you assign 1 or 2 construction battalions, and you want to repair the Riga, the port of Riga, as soon as possible. And then you want to take Parno and you want to take Tallinn, because these two are very crucial in fueling your advance into Estonia. And say by, I would say maybe September 1941, assuming that you reached Leningrad but you did not yet take it, you want to rely at least on Tallinn and Parno as import ports, maybe even Riga to bring supplies from Riga to Pskov, and from here to Luga and to the armies operating in this area. And yeah, also don't rely on these two. So once you take Riga and Riga is fully repaired, just don't rely on these two, because they're just pointless in my opinion. And yeah, that's it for this tutorial, folks. I hope it was useful, and it will be useful for your campaigns. And yeah, I believe that mastering, let's say, the art of supply priority and depot management will really make the big difference in the Grand Campaign. And with this, folks, I thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish you all the best, and well, I'll see you all in the next advanced tutorial. So before ending the tutorial, I just wanted to show you guys one thing that I think I forgot to mention before, and I just found out now by messing around with the editor. So before concluding the tutorial, there is just one thing that I wanted to, let's say, discuss now before it comes up in the comments here below. And this deals with the depot built on the railways, not in hexes containing at least a level 1 rail yard. Because first of all, I want to show you guys how crappy these depots are, because they have a capacity of 250 tons, say 250 tons. If you place an army HQ or an army group HQ, you can raise the capacity by 1000. Now it's 1250 instead of 250. And unfortunately, I didn't know this, and I think you have to know this. The effect is not cumulative. As you can see, it's always 1250. It's, yeah, too bad. But let's say the good news is that even the Army Corps HQs can, or they do, raise these depot capacity. I know that 1250 is nothing compared, for instance, to 10,000. But still, when you are victoriously marching into the Caucasus, these can potentially make, let's say, overall, like a domino effect, a big impact at the end of your campaign. Yeah, so just keep this in mind. And yeah, now that's really it. That's the end of the tutorial. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.